While we are still waiting, I'm going to just say a quick thank you to the Better with Friends committee for helping us create this week, and a couple, or more than a couple, brands that have helped us throughout the week too. So I'm going to list them off really quick while we're all getting set up. We have Tonal, UFOs, NYX, Les Mills, Boone, Undone, Arami, Wander Beauty, Curious Elixirs, August, R&Co, Tone House, Asutra, Mad Tasty, Wordiful, Half Day, Athletic Brewing, and Olive and June. So big thank you to our partners. Let's kick this off. I'm Kelly with aSweatLife. So good to see you all for this Lunch and Learn. Again, like I mentioned, we have Sophia and Sam on with us today. Sophia, her background is actually in events and logistics, but she also has this huge passion for cooking and being very resourceful in the kitchen. So she's going to have so many amazing tips for you. And then we have Sam, who is in the healthcare industry, and she has this huge passion for like extreme couponing and like has amazing tips. You're like, I could listen to her all day. So we have a lot to talk through. I can't wait for you guys to hear from both of them. And then we're gonna cook some broccoli cheddar soup together. Cool? We good? Okay, I'm gonna highlight Sophia, or no, I'm gonna pass it to Sam first. Sam to do a little more intro, and then we'll go to Sophia. So I'll highlight you, Sam. Kick it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We're so excited to have everybody here. And like she said, we have so much stuff to talk about. So please feel free to reach out afterwards with questions. Shoot your questions during. We'll get to everything during. And if we can't, we'll definitely do it after. We're both really excited to be here with you guys. So I just want to introduce Sophia. I met her through doing this. She actually had this presentation and was gracious enough to let me kind of tag on with her. So again, thank you to our sponsors. Like, this event is amazing, and I appreciate aSweatLife. You guys work so hard and do amazing things, and just thank you for highlighting all of us and the things that we do in our passion. So Sophia, again, read her bio because her bio has so much, but the things I really wanted to highlight with her is that, so she is a home chef now. She's a food enthusiast. She was in design, an event planner. She has over 19 years of experience. She actually went to school for hospitality. And actually I saw she went to Cornell, which I was like, ooh, wow. So she's just like, she's amazing. She's done so many things. And this kind of started back in her mom's kitchen. Her mom said they weren't going to waste food. And so she kind of started being resourceful at a really young age, which again, I think it's like, I was telling Sophia, I feel like that's like so trendy now. And it's such like it's not trendy, but it's like, this is where our world is going to. Like, we're trying to each do our part to save and to, and I think what she's doing is amazing. And so one of the things that I really wanted to highlight is that she's really showcasing the grocery and budgeting, but also food reincarnation, which I just love that phrase. And her and I chatted a lot about that. I'm like, I just love that because she blew my mind. We were telling Kelly, we've been talking for hours just about everything. Cause like she's taught me so much just in the past of meeting her. And the thing that I really love about her is she's so passionate. So I think her passion comes through, and you can just tell she loves this. She's so passionate about helping people, about the environment, and really just using the resources that we have to save our planet, to save ourselves, to just make ourselves better. And so I love all those things. And then on top of all that, she also does virtual culinary classes, and she does Palm Squad Fitness, which I think is amazing. So she's super active. She's involved in so many things, which I think is great. And you'll definitely feel her energy when she's talking. And her and I chatted. I think she has so many opportunities to expand this into other business opportunities. So everybody make sure to stay in contact with her, because I think that she's got some really great things in the works coming in the future.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Sam. So that was such a amazing introduction. You're making me like cry kind of and blush a little bit, but I am so excited to be here, you guys. This has actually been sort of a side project of mine for a really long time. And it really hasn't been until the pandemic that's afforded me the time to start thinking about and expanding into this world of culinary. But beyond just being a foodie, really talking about reduction of food waste, and then also helping people to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in the kitchen. So today I wanted to kind of help you guys to find the foundations of some of these different ideas. And obviously we'll also do a quick cooking demo as well. So I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm doing this correctly. Let's see. Can you guys see this? Hopefully, yes. Okay, awesome. So I'm Sophia Lin Kanno. I'm also known as the spicy grasshopper. My mom has always called me a spicy girl. Yes, I'm a little sassy, not necessarily sweet, a little bit spicy. And I actually chose grasshopper because it was a nickname that a former colleague named me when I was super young in the industry, super eager, super passionate to grow in events. And they called me the young grasshopper. So a little background about the name, I really thought this was appropriate as I translated it into food, because it is about eagerness, it's about passion, about wanting to learn all the time, but it also kind of could be food, who knows, right? Let's be a little adventurous. So my goal is to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to maximize your grocery budget. This is something that really came from my mother growing up. And then at the same time, you'll be able to eat healthier, also reduce your food waste, and ultimately hopefully find a little bit more confidence in the kitchen. I know a lot of people get stuck in a rut with buying the same groceries over and over every single week. So hopefully this will give you guys some ideas and thoughts on how to do all that. So I wanted to start with a really quick thing, is how much do we actually spend on groceries? So according to the USDA, apparently food is the third highest expenditure in our households. And from the low side, it could be as little as $166 for an individual or $568 for a family of four within a week. But I'm sorry, per month. And then it could also grow to $370 on the low side to $1,296 for families of four. Which means that you're spending thousands of dollars on food every single year. And it's pretty amazing to me to see the range of what this could be, because for a family of four, $6,816 all the way to $15,552, it's a huge range. And it's like, where is all this money going? And it's kind of crazy when you think about how much we actually spend on food. So according to the research from Harvard School of Public Health, they actually talk about eating healthy really more expensive? And it's amazing to see the growth of the health food business. It's grown steadily, actually over 6% every single year for the last 2 decades, which is pretty insane because we're all so obsessed about eating healthier. And they actually say that they're concerned about the barriers of entry to actually eating healthy, saying that generally it's perceived as more expensive, and it's maybe only about $1.50 more per person per day, which is actually relatively small when you multiply that out. For a family of four, possibly somewhere around $2,200 in a year. So, is that something that we can afford? Is that something that we can actually build in? Well, I actually believe that eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive. I think if you're spending your money on these expensive products that, protein shakes and different kind of supplements, they can add up, obviously. But I really think that there's a way better way for us to eat healthy and budget it.
So we've got like 50 cases, and there are only these 4.
So basically what it comes down to at the end of the day is planning, and there's a lot of food waste that we have. So they actually say that in the US, 30 to 40% of the food that we have is wasted, which is just freaking mind-blowing to me. It literally hurts my heart every time I have to put something in the garbage. It's like I cringe. I'm like, was there something I could have done with this? I should have seen it earlier. But we literally waste so much food. And it's 133 billion pounds, which equates to $161 billion worth of food. And that was in 2010. I can only imagine what that's grown to now. So today's presentation, and I'm just asking you guys, this is not something for every single person. I realize that not every single person is concerned about saving money on groceries. However, if you are interested in saving money and also eating healthier and being all those things, I just ask you to do 3 things with me. Is 1, you have to be willing to plan in advance. 2, to be a mindful shopper or cook, and also to be open-minded and creative. These are just the 3 caveats that I ask for, because without these 3, if you can't do these, it's okay. This just might not be for you. So my top 6 ways of grocery budgeting. And I know that Sam's going to kind of join me a little bit in this. She's got a lot of great couponing tips as well, but we'll dig right into it. And don't feel like you have to be like taking pictures of the screen or anything like that. Oh, by the way, for those people who are planning to cook with us, if you haven't quite prepped all your things, like pre-cut your vegetables and measured out your ingredients, feel free to do that now during the presentation. We will send out a highlights sheet afterwards, so don't feel like you have to scribble down notes furiously. If you'd like to do that anyways, totally fine, but we will be sharing kind of our top tips and everything afterwards.
Sophia, can I jump in there with one quick question?
Yes.
Do you know if the Harvard study took into account desserts?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know if they did. I'd have to go back and look at that study and see. Why are you concerned that dessert is like adds cost? Is that what you're thinking? Or that it's, because it's saying that it's healthier, or you can eat healthier, but the healthier additional cost per day is only about $1.50 per person, which I think is interesting. So what are you thinking about with desserts?
On food deserts.
I'm sorry?
I think the comment was food deserts, like in the Harvard study.
Oh, food deserts? Oh, cited as a barrier to eating? I don't know.
Where fresh fruit, like how like fresh food is not always like available in certain areas.
Oh, got it. In that regard, I don't know that they necessarily took that into account, but I will say this. The US, we are very lucky because we cover so many different climates and regions within our country. We are actually able to get almost anything at any time out of season. And that's something that I've really learned from other people who have come from other countries, because like people in London, for instance, they can't find strawberries in the winter. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. So in the US, we actually have a lot of those opportunities because of our food supply and supply chain, and that they don't have to go over different country barriers in order to import food. So I think that, this is probably more so relevant for the US, less than, international, but that's a good question, because I'm not sure if they did take that into account for areas that are really hard to access fresh foods. So, okay. So we're going to just dig right into it. The first tip that I have, this is actually something that my mother taught me, was you only buy things only when they are on sale. So every single week, the grocery stores will release a circular. And I have a couple of them here. These are actually for this week, believe it or not, for both Jewel and for Mariano's. Exactly. Sam's got her little circular up. You don't have to get these digitally. You can get them digitally. You can also get them physically. I know a lot of us are kind of in like a digital world right now. And we'll talk a little bit more about the apps. But basically what I do is I always shop the different stores and figure out exactly what is on sale so that I can get the best bang for my buck. And they try to entice you by bringing you in to buy these different on sale items. And then they want you to then buy all the other things that are full price and buy all your groceries there. But if you really plan your meals and think about the way that things and what they cost, and figure out, okay, if there's onions, if there's green beans, if there's cabbage, those are the vegetables we're going to eat this week. You actually, at the end of the day, can save yourself a lot of money when you look at these prices. And the sale ads, they do kind of put their effective dates of sale always at the very bottom of the front page. So I have this like circled at the very bottom of this page. You'll see the actual dates that these prices are effective for. So most of the time what happens is they'll release on Tuesdays a preview for Wednesday. Wednesday is the first day of sale. It actually goes Wednesday to Tuesday for most of the grocery stores. Some of them are like Thursday to Wednesday, but you have to pay attention to which ones they are. And that's actually one of the first tips that I have, is to make sure that you know the dates of sale. And then on Tuesday, you can actually see what's going to be on sale for the coming up week. So if you do groceries on Tuesday or Wednesday, you can actually kind of take advantage of both of the sales. Before the pandemic, Fresh Time actually used to have a really great special where on Wednesdays, you could actually get the deals from both weeks, the week prior and the week coming up, which was actually a really great way to really maximize that budget.
And if you guys feel like, you're like, I really don't have the time, I don't have the energy, planning ahead for me is really hard. I will send, there's going to be a sheet I send you guys. You can always reach out to me. I have people that I go to for that. So I have my go-to couponers, so they look at these deals. That's what they do all day, every day. And they kind of figure out, hey, this is what's on sale. This is what's the best deal right now. These are the coupons that you can use. This is kind of the way that you can formulate these deals. So I'll be honest, because my job is just super taxing. I'm very busy. I don't always have the time. So that's kind of my planning ahead. I don't necessarily do the work, but I find the people that will do the work for me. And then all you have to do is the secondary part. So, and from a couponing standpoint, if you are stocking up, so say you're like, I love a certain kind of peanut butter, I want to stock up when it's on sale to save money. The circulars do cycle about every 6 to 12 weeks. So every 6 to 12 weeks. So if you're like, oh man, it like was on sale and now it's off sale, like just keep watching, because they will cycle back. And there are actually websites you can look at that'll tell you like exactly what coupon inserts will be coming out, when they're coming out, what circulars, like what will be on sale when. So I think that's something to keep in mind too. And again, like the seasonal items are usually on the first and last page. So the stuff the store really wants to try to catch you with or catch your eye with are the things on the outside pages.
Yeah. And you can see all of this is really produce that I primarily look at. There's a lot of other things like in the middle sections, but the produce and the fresh meats are usually what I'm looking at the most. So the second tip is to use the app. So there is an app for that too. Believe it or not, every single grocery store has their own app. And what's amazing is that they have loyalty rewards and digital coupons. So if you're not big on like sort of the old, get your physical Sunday paper and cut out the physical coupon and then keep track of them, you really can do this digitally. I actually have it on my phone, and this is what I do when I stand in line at the post office, you know, things like that. It's actually really super easy. And really, if you just log in your phone number and an email address, and also make sure to log in your phone number at checkout, all of those discounts will come off. I think that Mariano's actually now has started a process where you don't get that sale price unless you actually do enter your phone number. And it's basically them collecting data on you, collecting information on how you are spending your money. And then that way they also know what's drawing people in, what they need to stock more of. So they use that data actually to figure out their inventory. And a couple other things is, you know, there are definitely rewards. The more you spend somewhere, the more you'll get rewards. You can actually select free items from them. And then with the digital coupons, you can actually just add them to your cart. So as soon as you type in your phone number, it actually comes off automatically at checkout. But one of the biggest things that Sam and I talked about is that over 50% of the time, you do have to watch the cashiers when they check you out, because a lot of those prices sometimes ring up wrong. And I'm like, wait a second. So you can actually have the opportunity to correct them when you're at checkout, but you do have to pay attention to make sure that you have that information.
Yeah, I was gonna chime in for, these are great, and I use all of these. And I saw someone say like supporting local is great too. And I think one of the things I say with couponing is, you know, for me and my family, I do certain things to save money so I can do other things. Because it's like, I do want to support local, and I do want to, you know, support other companies and businesses. So like, I use this as a way for me to get things really cheap or maybe even free, just so that way I don't need to spend a lot of money on groceries, so that I can spend more money, you know, and on certain products from local businesses, or even just like other types of things that maybe aren't groceries or food. So I definitely think that's wonderful and great. And a lot of those places do have rewards programs. So your favorite ones, like, definitely reach out to the person, like if it's an owner or something like that. Or I think people are always willing to, you know, give you discounts, or again, like just if you're someone that goes to their store frequently, it's so crazy what people will give you if you ask. So I also wanted to show you guys this. So I sign up for every mailer that I get from any of these stores. So this one's like, it's $5 off of 50, $10 off of 50, free eggs with a purchase of $10 or more. And like, you can stack these. So it's like, you're going to get eggs, you're going to get free bread, you're going to get $10 off. So if you're going to spend $50 anyway, this is like $10 in your hand. So a lot of times when you sign up digitally at the store, they don't even, like, they don't ask for your address. So I go into the site and put in my address to make sure that I get these mailers mailed to my place, because I'm in a condo. So I make sure that I get mailed them so that I have them. And then with apps, so you guys will see this on my page after. I use a lot of rebate apps, and there's some really great ones. Ibotta is my favorite one. So I always say, like, sign up with your favorite grocery store, but also when you go shopping, you're going to do your store app before, and then you're going to do the rebate apps after. So like, again, like Sophia said, when I'm walking on the treadmill, when I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, that's when I'm clipping all my coupons online. Like, I'm like, okay, what am I going to buy? What's going on? Like, if you're just sitting there, right? It's mindless, or you're laying in bed at night. Yeah. So I saw Fetch too. Fetch is one I use. You guys will see a list. I have a pretty huge list that I use, because anything I can use to give. My fiance goes, every time you go grocery shopping, you come home and then you spend 15 minutes organizing all your goodies you got, and you have to take pictures of all your receipts. But again, like, to me, it's worth it, because the savings are great. So And one of the things I do too, my fiance is not a great couponer. So if he tells me he's going to the store, I will go on the app quick because we share it, and I quick clip all the coupons because I know he won't do it. So
totally. Yeah. And I will say, like, you know, going back to sort of that first page, like this Jewel Osco, there's some sizzling hot offers that they call them sizzling hot. I know it's like crazy, right? You do have to clip the coupon in order to get these deals. So they get a lot of people that way too. You know, they're like, oh, it's just $3.99. They don't clip the coupon and then they pay full price, which is just so sad because it's literally a click of a button.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things I was going to chat about, so I'll try to chat about super fast, is for coupons too. I can talk about this at the end if people have questions, but there's a lot of things to look for if you do use the coupons, just making sure you have the right products and things like that. But there are discounts. So if you're healthcare, military, a student, you can always ask for discounts because a lot of times there's hidden discounts. Even at Starbucks, wherever you go, a lot of times there are discounts. You just have to ask for them. Even if you're at Jewel and you're like, oh, I had that coupon I had in the mail, you can ask the person at the register, hey, I had a coupon for whatever off. Do you have an extra one? A lot of times they'll pull one up, they'll scan it for you, call it a day. Or like if you forget your card, which again, they're all with your phone number these days, but if you forget it, even Kohl's, whatever places that aren't grocery, a lot of times the person will just pull one up for you and use it. So always ask, especially if you're not scared, because most likely you're going to get a deal if you ask for a deal.
Definitely. So the next tip is basically convenience costs more. So instead of paying for things that are pre-cut, and I know a lot of people hate the prep work when it comes to cooking, but you're really going to save a lot more money. I actually have an example here just so that you guys can see. So this week at Jewel, there's 99-cent green asparagus, 49-cent red peppers, but you can actually literally see in the exact same ad, they have these exact vegetables that are cut, but they're $3.99 a pound. Yes, they're giving you a buy one, get one free deal. However, at the same time, by the time you cut this all on yourself, you're already saving even more than half of even the buy one, get one free deal that they've given you. The other thing is that a lot of these pre-cut vegetables and things are actually the things that are starting to go bad in the grocery store. This is one of the techniques that the grocery store has is all their pre-cut or prepared foods. They actually use the stuff that's going to go out pretty soon. That way they can actually sell it and actually make some money on it before it actually goes bad. So a lot of these cut produce things are just not going to last that long. They also are going to be exposed to not only air and bacteria and things, they're going to probably spoil much faster. So just be aware that convenience does cost something. There are also food delivery services like Instacart, for instance. Yes, a lot of people have been using that during the pandemic. They do charge a 20% premium on all of this. So just note that the prices that you see at these different grocery stores, it is not the same as what you're going to get in Instacart. Actually, a lot of the grocery stores have their own curbside pickup services or mobile services anyways, and you can actually get these prices exactly as they are. So just be aware that Instacart and things like that aren't always going to be the best option for you, and that convenience will almost always cost more. So if you want to get like the zoodles or things like that, just definitely invest in something like that. That little tool is like maybe $10, you know, and if you use a Bed Bath & Beyond coupon, then, you know, save another 20%, it becomes 8. So cutting things like pineapple things are really helpful.
And I would think most stores, especially in Chicago, they actually will offer you like, oh, your free, you know, pickup is, you get $10 off, or like I get coupons all the time, and they actually are trying to incentivize you to pick up your groceries. So you're not coming into this, you know, especially with COVID right now, there's so many incentives that they're actually paying you money to come and pick up your groceries. So, you know, if you have a car, if you have that ability, like that's such a good way to, again, you're just saving yourself a bunch of money without even using coupons. It's literally you just doing that. I was going to say the one thing I always notice with the cutting food is mushrooms, because I love mushrooms. I always eat mushrooms, but every time I get the cut ones, they go bad so fast. And I actually measured because I'm like, I want to know if I'm actually going to get a deal. I know it says 8 ounces and 8 ounces for the weight, but when you actually get the full mushrooms and you cut them up, they're like overflowing out of that bin. So when you buy the cut ones, it looks like, oh my gosh, they're filling up the whole bin. Like I'm getting way more cut up. But when you actually end up cutting up those big ones, you're actually getting more, and they actually last so much longer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything in whole form is always going to last far, far, far longer.
I always say too that like, oh, sorry, I was going to say quick, if you get something that's non-cut, like you pay all this extra money for the convenience and you get it. What if it's like celery? Sometimes celery has a weird taste. So I'm like, it's so gross. You pay all this extra money, you get something, and then you hate it, and you're like, this is gross. Or if you just get it and cut your own, you're like, okay, I paid what, 75 cents for the stalk of celery, like whatever, like, and I'm sure Sophia, you'd have a great way to repurpose that celery. So I think too, just like, that's the nice part too about having it is you can cut it and make it the way you want it. That was all.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next big tip is to pay attention to the price per ounce. So this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't realize because they look at sort of just that label price. And I want to use this as a really great example. Jewel actually had salmon on sale that they, claimed for $4.99 each. But the small print said 6-ounce portions. And then with Mariano's, it's actually $5.99 per pound. So from a surface level, it looks like that the salmon is actually more expensive at Mariano's. But on a per pound basis, actually, it's a significant difference because in order for you to get the same amount of salmon that you need to fulfill that pound, I mean, you're paying, over double what that $5.99 per pound is. So all the grocery stores actually, with every single label, even for like things like pickles or mustard or ketchup, all of those labels actually will give you a price per ounce broken down. So if you're trying to compare what size actually to buy sometimes and figure out where you're getting the best deal for your money, they will actually break that down. Buying in bulk sometimes can help to reduce that cost. So obviously the mentality is like the bigger the container of ketchup or the bigger the jar of mustard or whatever it is, it's going to be less. It's true, but it's not always going to be the best for you if it's not something that you're going to use a lot of. But also what I've realized with like Costco or Sam's Club or these club stores, warehouse stores, the bulk doesn't always cost less. It's some sort of trick that they've created for you. So I've actually discovered a lot of the produce and even sometimes the meat at those stores actually costs more than when things are on sale at the local grocery store. So most of the things that I tend to buy actually tend to be just more like paper towels or toilet paper and things like that. But if you do pay attention, the price per ounce or price per sheet of toilet paper, price per tissue, those kind of things will definitely help you actually determine how much you're actually getting for that price and if it's actually a good deal.
One of the things I was gonna tag on is like if you're at the store and you are buying things too, like go with the things that are name brand. Like I know, one of the things I don't know if people know with Costco is Costco has private labeled items. So I just, alcohol was the first thing that popped in my head. But like if you see Grey Goose and you see the Kirkland brand next to it, it is exactly Grey Goose in a different bottle. Like I actually think sometimes you can pull off the label and it's actually the actual label underneath. So I know I know it's the same with Tito's. It's exactly the same, and even Lululemon. So they actually have some Kirkland pants at Costco that are made by Lululemon. So there's many, many more. Those are just a couple that I wanted to share with you. But so if you buy the Kirkland brand, you are actually buying the regular brand for a lot less. So there are things at Costco that aren't terrible, like at some of these other big brands. But yeah, someone said Lululemon. Yes, Lululemon. So there's definitely some more other ones, but those are like the three that I thought of. But if you're using coupons, go with the name brand because most likely, and depending on how big the deal is, but I always look because I'm like, if they're almost the same price, but I can use a coupon to save $1, $2, whatever, I'm always going to go with the name brand because I'm still going to save more money in the long run. But if you don't have a coupon, I'd go with the generic because usually the generic is a private label and it is the exact same product, just with different packaging.
Totally. Okay, so
sorry, Sophia, I forgot that you kind of combine these two. Sorry, everybody. One of the things I was going to say too, like living in Chicago, I grew up in northern Wisconsin. We would buy a cow for the year and we'd have it in the freezer and that would be our meat. So being in Chicago, I don't have room for freezer. My fiance, it's like our biggest point of contention about getting this freezer. So we don't have a lot of space and things like that. So like Sophia was saying, a lot of times, especially if you're couponing, buying things in smaller packages ends up being a lot cheaper. And so one of the things, it's going to be hard. I'll try to put this in the chat later. But so I just put, for instance, like chicken stock. Say it's $8 for 32 ounces or $3 for 8 ounces. So that's like $12. So you're either paying 32 ounces for 8 or you're paying $3 for 8 ounces, which is going to be $12. But if you have, say, a $1.50 off coupon for that times 4, so say I have $4.50 off, I can use one for each of those 4, but only one for that 132 ounce one. So if you can get, like say there's a rebate on Ibotta, which there's often a limit. So I can either get like $2 back on this one, or I can get $8 back, or sorry, $2 off each of the 4. This sounds very confusing, but in the end, you actually will end up making money on the smaller ones. So you will get them for free, plus you will walk out of the store making $2. because you went with the smaller one. So, and again, this is like something, there's a huge science to this, and I can talk to people later about this more if they're interested, but like it's amazing. So I think about this a lot, like, am I actually getting a deal or am I not getting a deal? And if I have coupons, I can probably get it almost free. And again, I think living in the city, it's just so hard to have bulk items. So for me, this has actually made me feel better because I used to think I was saving so much going to Costco and getting all these items. So those places are not bad, but why are we paying them also a $25 fee or what is it, $45 for the year or $100 to shop at their store? And
$60 now. Yeah, it's expensive.
And spend a ridiculous amount. And I do have a membership, but my in-laws got it for me, so I couldn't return it. But so, yeah.
Exactly. So perfect. So the next tip is actually proper food storage. So I think a lot of people struggle with this because they're always concerned about buying a lot of produce and it going bad. But really the biggest enemy, so that you guys kind of know, of food preservation is actually water and too much air. So because both water and air contain a lot of bacteria, if anything sits in water, generally it will go bad faster. It just depends on the type of vegetable it is and the type of item you're talking about. So there are certain things that do require a little bit more water, things like celery, things like herbs, believe it or not, and also carrots. So you don't necessarily need a vacuum sealer when it comes to preservation of things if you're thinking about freezing them. But freezing yourself is a really great way to prevent things from going bad too fast, and also really utilizing everything you've invested your money into. All you really need to do is put into a plastic bag or even saran wrap and literally squeeze out as much of the air as possible. And then just make sure you've labeled everything. And then you can literally just freeze those items. It really makes things a lot easier in terms of being able to extend the life of things. There's a really great website I wanted to share with everybody. It's called SaveTheFood.com. It's actually sponsored by the National Resource Defense Council. So it's actually a really, really smart government kind of funded website that gives you a great resource and reference guide on how to preserve and store your foods to extend their lifespans. Also, when things are starting to go bad, suggestions and ways on how you guys can actually utilize them a little faster, or how to preserve them in a freezing method and things like that. I could go into like a million different things on how to preserve certain items. But one of the big tips and tricks you'll see here with the herbs is that you really shouldn't keep them in your refrigerator at all. Snip the ends and the bottoms of them and keep them in a glass with a little bit of water on your counter. They will actually stay fresher far longer. Same with celery. If it starts to go limp, all you really need to do is cut off that bottom, stick them in the glass, stick it in your fridge upright. They will perk right up. So lots of little things as well in terms of preservation of the food. Oh, and I think, Sam, we talked about expiration dates as one of them, right? In this area?
Yeah.
Yes. So truth be told, expiration dates are completely fabricated, you guys. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people think that like the minute that it turns like that date, it's like, oh, it's bad, toss it out. No. Expiration dates are actually something that the FDA regulates and requires for a lot of these manufacturing packaging plants to put on because they have to give their best estimate of when they think the food will be best. But most of the time, it's a best buy date. There's a lot of things that we throw away. Actually, 90% of the food that we throw away in this country is stuff that actually is still good, but we got scared because the expiration date has passed. So there's a lot of things that you actually can still continue to use. Again, SaveTheFood.com, I can't speak enough about this website. It really teaches you a lot about those resources, and also things that, like even eggs, for instance, they can go way past the expiration date. The egg test, stick it in a glass of water. If the egg sinks, it's still good. If it floats, it's bad. But there's a lot of ways for us to kind of know and educate ourselves a little bit more to really know if something is still good or not good to use.
Should I tell my secret from yesterday with the milk?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Woo! So we made mac and cheese last night and ate it, and it was delicious. And then I looked, and we had some almond milk that expired January 13th that my fiance used. But I was like, hey, it didn't smell bad. It tasted great, and I feel great today. So
And you didn't have any like overnight issues. So
Nothing.
yeah,
Great.
exactly. So, I mean, really, I think it's just more about education more than anything else. So the last tip, this is really going to be the ones for those who really want to adventure and really want to challenge themselves. This is what I really have built a lot of my spicy grasshopper mantra and motto off of. It's really called food reincarnation. And there's a lot of things that we throw away because we think it is trash, literally. But there are so many ways that we can continue to extend the lifespan of that food to make something else. So one of the biggest things is saving like your vegetable and also meat bones, meat scraps, things like that, that you can actually make for your own stock. One of the biggest things that I've actually started is actually saving my citrus peels and making candied orange rinds, things that you can put in like desserts and cocktails. I actually did some candied oranges and actually put them in my own homemade granola, which was actually amazing. I was pretty excited about that one. So there's just like a lot that you can be doing even with things that we think are trash. You can even start your own garden. So remember what I told you about the herbs, snipping off those ends and putting them into a glass of water? A lot of herbs will actually regenerate themselves. So basil, especially, is one of them you absolutely should never store in the fridge. It will turn black actually when it hits the cold. It's a summer herb. So what you do is you snip the ends and actually you will start seeing sprouted roots. And those will actually regenerate themselves. You can actually plant them in your own home and use them all year long, which is amazing. Scallions are another great one. I know we are using scallions today in our recipe. If you snip off the ends of the whites, they'll actually regenerate themselves. So you can actually see how these have actually started growing. And I'm actually going to probably put them into a little pot that I have and start growing my own scallions. So just a lot of little tips and things that you can continue to do when you think it's trash, but it really becomes treasure. So I can talk a little bit about the broccoli cheddar soup that we're going to make today. And I just wanted to let you guys know, I really did shop the circular for you guys to just kind of show how this really can work. I had Mariano's and Jewel were the two grocery stores that I kind of looked at. I know that they're the most prominent in the Chicagoland area. I apologize if you're not in the Chicagoland area. But I really looked at this and said, you know what, most of the ingredients that are going to go, actually all the ingredients that are going to go into this are all on sale this week. So you'll see how the broccoli was 88 cents a pound. If you clipped the coupon from Mariano's, a digital coupon, you could get stock, either vegetable, chicken, whatever type of stock for 99 cents. And it's actually an organic stock. The onions the cheese, you can also get for $1.99 at Jewel for, depending on if you got the shredded or the block cheese, up to 5 ounces. And then these are the other things from Jewel. You have the potatoes, the 5-pound bag for $1.99, 3-pound bag of yellow onions, 99 cents. Your half and half was 88 cents a pint. The organic green onions, 99 cents each, 88 cents for your baby carrots. And then I threw in the Hawaiian rolls. I know not everyone's into eating the gluten or the bread or, those kind of things, but I just wanted to kind of show you how realistic it is for you to truly build an entire meal off of just shopping the circular, literally. So as you can see, these are the ingredients. I shopped this entire thing. And so how much will this meal actually cost? So I actually broke this all out for you because it's really good to kind of know the math and how things really break out. The onions, even just the garlic, your red pepper flakes, your broccoli, your carrots. I totaled this all up, and honestly, even with the food tax and everything, your grand total is $8.32. And this recipe will make 6 servings, which really equates to $1.39 per person, which is pretty crazy. So I'm pretty excited to kind of go over this with you. If everyone has all their ingredients and are ready to go, we'll dig right into it.
Yeah, please ask questions. I feel like this might be a really good time to be able to answer questions. I might throw a couple more things out there that I forgot to mention throughout for you guys, but like even if you have specific questions for Sophia or I about couponing and like the apps, maybe I can throw that on at the end, or I think Kelly could probably answer better. I don't know if we're going to send it out, but I did send like a 1-pager kind of like my favorite things that like the people that I follow, the apps that I use, I put my referral codes on there. Again, you don't have to use them. I would love it if you did, but that's okay. And there's just a lot of other information. The first page is stuff that I use very consistently. The second page is like some of it I've tried, haven't tried, but I'm like, this might be cool. Like if there was some fitness stuff and things like that I thought maybe this group would be a little bit more interested in checking out.
Absolutely. So I just want to show you guys my setup here. So I got my Dutch oven going, and I know that we were starting off with a little bit of olive oil or butter in the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of heat that up, get the butter melted. I did ask that you guys all had your ingredients ready to go. So one of the key things with cooking is what we call mise en place, which is in French, things in place. So you just want everything pre-cut and ready to go so that you can actually move very quickly when you're in the cooking process. So we have your onions here, your garlic that I had smashed. I also separated my broccoli stalks from the florets. We can cut the florets together a little bit. I also have my carrots and potatoes. So I did do a couple cheat things. I will say this. I had some potatoes from earlier that I had not finished using, and I had actually roasted them off in the oven previously and just froze them. So that's also another great way to reuse your potatoes before they go bad. Also another great tip and trick with potatoes, they do like to sprout, as we all know. You can eat them after they have sprouted. You just need to cut the sprouts off, but be very careful. If the peels have turned green, that's actually when they've released a certain toxin, they're getting ready to re-sprout and grow. But you can actually store them with an apple, and the apple will help to prevent some of those gases being released so that it will stop sprouting. Also, the other tip is that if you store them with your onions, they will also tend to sprout easier. So cool, dark places, onions separated from your potatoes, and put an apple in there. Kind of a cool trick. So anyways, the first thing that we're going to do is get your onions and then your garlic, as well as a little bit of salt and red pepper flakes. I've got my red pepper flakes here. We're going to get them into the Dutch oven. So I've got my butter melting. It's kind of sizzling a little bit. And I'm actually going to readjust this so that you guys can see me cooking. I don't know how many people are out there actually cooking with me today. And so you'll notice I actually will put items that are going to go together at the same step on the same plate because they're all going to go in together anyways. You don't need to put them in like separate bowls or anything like that. I have really big onions, so I think I have a lot of onion in here, but that is okay. Okay. So I have my salt, adding a little bit of salt. And the important thing about salt in general is you want to salt throughout the process. I'm actually also doing a little bit of pepper at this process. You want to salt at the different portions of your cooking process. So a little bit at the beginning, a little bit in the middle, throughout the middle, and at the end. But just a little bit, you know, just like a tiny little pinch or so. It just helps to open the flavors at the different portions of your cooking process. So it enhances and layers the flavors a lot more throughout the cooking. So kind of get this nice and sauteed. For those who like spicy, of course, I like spicy because I'm the spicy grasshopper. I'm adding some red pepper flakes. Totally optional. I know some people are really sensitive to spice out there. I also think it's kind of a nice way to cut some of the richness of the cheese and the cheddar and the cream. For those who also maybe have like dietary restrictions for dairy, you can totally make this without the cream or without the cheese. Those are just options that I added in there for those who love a broccoli cheddar soup. You can actually just add a little bit more stock instead. What is lovely is that the potatoes in this will make this super creamy, so you don't have to worry about, you know, not having the dairy. I've also had a few people who have used like cashews instead, or if you have like a different kind of milk, like a cashew or almond milk that's unsweetened, that's also another great option in here as well. So you can kind of see the onions are kind of cooking down in here. And then what I'm going to do next is really add in our stalks. Let's see here. Make sure I have all my, so they're just about to start, let them cook down a little bit. Okay. I can take a look at the chat too. Oh yeah, nutritional yeast. That is true. Yeah, for people who want a little bit more of a savory touch, I think that's also another great option as well.
I can be reading the comments too. I just realized.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of chatting in the group with everybody, but yeah, I can ask people to come through, or everyone feel free. If you're not cooking, especially, and you want to just chat, like, feel free to unmute yourself and just chat.
Definitely.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping that we'd have a lot of conversation too. We didn't know how to really base this upon, because we didn't know what people's interests would be or what they really want to know. So please ask, because we both have a lot of knowledge, but we really want to share with you what you want to know and not share you stuff that you don't care about. So yeah, please feel free to chat.
So I'm going to just show you guys, this is actually starting to turn a little bit golden. So at this point, I'm going to start adding in my carrots, my broccoli stalks, and then my potatoes as well. So again, this is just all going to go into the pot. I'm going to saute this just for a little bit, just to kind of soften them up and get a little bit of that cooking in there. Look at this. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my stock ready, because this is the part where they're going to cook down a bit more. Yes, I already added in the garlic. Yes, so basically the onions and the garlic will go in first. Those are sort of what we call the aromatics that usually take a little bit longer for those flavors to develop and soften. So I do put those in first. And then basically the next heartier portions of your vegetables will go in next. So I've got my stalks as well as the carrots in here right now. So I've got my chicken stock or broth. Either or is totally fine. The difference between chicken stock and broth actually has been made with the meat. Stock is usually just made with the bones. So just quick difference. It doesn't really matter. Usually it's a little bit richer when you've done it with the broth, but it's not. It's either or, whatever you have handy. And I will say I did not make my own stock on this one. I ran out, I realized last night. So, but I do have an entire freezer full of chicken bones that are ready to go, along with my scraps. So my vegetable scraps, I did save all my onion peels that when I was prepping for this, and I'm gonna put this in my freezer so that it's actually gonna be ready to make stock. I usually just stick it literally into a crock pot for a few hours, and literally you have stock right after that. In fact, I saved. Sorry, go ahead. Nope.
Amy's asking, what's the difference between vegetable stock and broth?
Ooh, that's a good question. Actually, probably the same thing. The broth is probably made with actually the full vegetable, and then the stock is probably just made with scraps. I'll bet that's probably the biggest difference. And then, so just so that you guys know, one of these big quart things is 4 cups. We need about 5 cups. If you're not using cream, or not using cream or half and half, you can actually do another cup of stock. So you could actually do 6. So let me see where my cup is. Let me get my other cup out. And this is gonna have to cook down a bit. So I'm gonna let this sit for a minute. And while we do that, I'm gonna kind of show you guys how to break down your broccoli florets. And actually, this is a pretty easy meal to make because it can go really fast. Those soups actually go really fast. Also, other tip, when you lid your pot, things cook faster because you're conserving the heat in. So if you want your water to boil faster, lid your pot. Just keep an eye on it so it doesn't overspill. But that's also another really great way for you guys to get cooking faster if you're concerned about time and efficiency and things like that. So.
We had a question from Winnie. As someone who's close to only Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, any tips? I feel like Trader Joe's is full of popular items, but it's not actually that great of quality. Don't fight me on this. I love that. Do you mean tips for couponing, tips for different types of foods? Could you clarify for us?
Yeah, I struggled with Trader Joe's, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people love Trader Joe's, but because I feel like their produce section is a little wonky sometimes and it doesn't have a great variety. I shop mostly literally the perimeter of the grocery store. I literally buy very few things in the middle because to me, if you can't afford to buy organic all the time, organic canned this or organic box something, honestly, the best way for you to do things for yourself is just to cook from scratch. Cooking from scratch is one of the best ways to eliminate a lot of those processed preservatives, any kind of chemicals and things in that. And also you're reducing a lot of the plastic and boxing waste that is created when you buy something that is in a box, in a jar, in a can, whatever it is. You're also creating more waste in the world as well.
Winnie, I can answer for you. Is it possible for me to share my screen quick? I want to see if I can.
Yeah, you should. If you want to go ahead and answer it with Trader Joe's, I'm going to go ahead and start breaking down broccoli florets. So just as a quick note before we do that, I always cut my broccoli from the base down towards the floret. Don't cut this way. If you cut this way, you're gonna make a mess with all your florets. So I also like to keep a tidy kitchen and literally just snip down and break it. And literally you can kind of get this broken down a lot faster. So just as a quick note for you guys who are breaking down your florets, I would break this down a little smaller so it will cook faster. Go ahead, Sam, sorry.
Okay, Winnie asked about Whole Foods, so I wanted to show you guys this. So this was like a couple weeks ago from my Ibotta app. So if you see all the things I got down here, Ibotta paid me $20.84. I actually made money at Whole Foods buying these items because this deodorant was on sale for, I think, like $4. The toothpaste was on sale for $3. The Bulletproof coffee was $2.99. They actually also, Ibotta had a rebate for mouthwash. That was like the mouthwash rebate was also another $9 and it was on sale for like $4, but they were out of stock, so I didn't get it. So I literally paid, I don't know, I maybe paid $10, $12 and then got $20 back from Ibotta. So I actually made money shopping at Whole Foods. And also if you have Amazon Prime, if you link your Prime to your Whole Foods, like you'll save that way too. So I actually saved on Prime also with this and then got this deal. So, you know, and again, I actually found this on TikTok. I find so many awesome couponers on TikTok and that's where like, you know, deals that come up quick again, because I'm working all day, every day. Like I'm super busy. I don't have time. So like I found so many cool things on there. That's the Ibotta app. Ashley asked which app. That's my favorite one. I think by far, I would say most couponers would say that one is like by far the best because there's just some really great rebates. And like literally it'll say on there free. It'll tell you like I was like, so always pads. We all need pads, right? I go to Walmart. Walmart has always pads for 93 cents. It's just a little one, 93 cents. Ibotta will give you back $1 for 5. I go to Walmart, I buy 5 of those. So I actually make money buying them. So the store is paying me to take them off the shelf. Usually Ibotta will they'll refresh sometimes after a couple of days. It's back in my thing again. So I could go back to Walmart and do the exact same thing again. And if usually coupons, again, you have to look at coupons. I had a whole section on this, but I don't know how interested people are. But with coupons, you just have to be careful because it will say sometimes like it has to be over a certain, it'll say a 20 ounce or a 15 count or something. So just make sure you're looking at the coupons to make sure it actually fits, because one, it's fraud if you are using coupons incorrectly. And two, it won't work. You'll get up and you'll scan it and you think you have this great deal and you're like, oh crap, it's not going to take the coupon off because it's maybe the wrong product. Like I know they just had a free rebate. We got scorching hot Pringles and they were completely free. So it's like, if you had a coupon, you could use it. But if the coupon was like specifically for scorching hot and you tried to buy a different one, it wouldn't work. So, but Ibotta has so many healthy things. There's so many organic, like it'll be like, oh, any eggs. So any eggs you buy, you scan the receipt, you'll get it back. Or some of the other apps I posted do the same thing, where I think Swagbucks is like, Swagbucks I don't use as much for groceries, but they have a grocery section and it's like any eggs, any receipt, so sometimes it doesn't even matter what's on it. It's just anything. So.
Question for you, Sam, about the receipts. Can you use the same receipt, like if you bought a ton of different things, like all of those coffee things that you bought or your pads and the eggs, can you use that same receipt for multiple scans?
Yep, every time. So when you get an app for Ibotta, you have to have the offers clicked before. That's why I always click them all when I'm like doing something, whatever. I click everyone because I'm like, who knows what we're going to buy? Who knows what my fiance is going to buy when he's out and about shopping? Like, I don't even know. So I click everything just to be on the safe side. Then in Ibotta, you take a picture of your app and it actually pulls all the offers in that, like it scans it right from your receipt. So if you buy multiple, you just click the multiple things and then literally the money goes into your account. And you can actually link in Ibotta, you can link your accounts directly. So you can link, like if you have Target, it links directly. I don't like to link mine because I've had issues with it, so I don't link mine, but I think Walgreens links, Target links, there's a bunch of them that link. So they do try to make it super easy for people that are like, I'm not really gonna mess around with this. I don't have a lot of time. I'm not super interested in this, but I'd like to save a couple bucks. So, again, there's such a spectrum of couponing. You can be just like, hey, I'm saving $1 here and there, great. Or like, I wanna like really do this.
Totally.
Let me see if there's, so I'm going to look, Ashley, I'll see if Bockwinkel, I don't know if that will be on there since it's more of like I'm guessing that's more of like a Chicago based one, but you'll be able to tell, you can search right on the app too, and it'll tell you what stores. The one tip I will give you, if a lot of you are going to go out and use it, when you're in the store, make sure that when you're in Ibotta, you click, so say you go into, let's just say you go into Whole Foods, click on Whole Foods in the app and you can scan items and it'll tell you if that item qualifies. Because I've done it where I've bought it because it qualifies at CVS per se, but not at Whole Foods. And I bought it and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get the money back for that. So they are, Yeah, so they do that where it's specific stores. You have to like, but I like scanning the products because like a couple weeks ago, it was like there's the Hydro Chic razors at Walmart. They were, you know, in the travel section. I scanned it. It was $3 off. I made money on all of them because they cost less than what the app was giving me back. So, and that's like a weekly thing. Like you can get free stuff literally every single week or a very cheap thing. So right now I'm kind of on the kick where I'm just getting things that I can get for free. Cause I'm like, I don't really need things right now, but my hope is to build a stockpile to then donate. You know, I live by the Chicago Community Center. There's so many people in need. I work at a hospital with kids. So I think, you know, there's always families in need. So for me, I find it fun. It's like a competition. It's very fun. So it's nice that I can save money and then I can help other people. But also, you know, like my sister said, well, why do you get stuff you don't need? And I'm like, because there are people that can't get it and I can give it to them for free. Like, you know, everybody needs something. And even if I don't need it, like, I'm not going to just keep it because I want to keep it. I'm going to donate it to somebody who does need it. So I think that's exciting. And I'm like, it's like Robinhood. These companies are making billions of dollars. And I appreciate everyone saying shop local. And part of me, it's like, I'm not shopping to support you. I'm basically shopping, you know, not really to steal from you, but I'm basically stealing from you so I can, you know, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. And that's kind of how I see it in my head is like, you know, so.
No, I think that's great. I think that's amazing.
I'm checking the, like I said, feel free to chime in, you guys. It's kind of hard to keep up with the chat. So let me know if I'm not answering questions.
And I would just say for those who are cooking, just make sure you kind of check on the soup. I did a quick stir, as you could see before. I'm still breaking down the florets because what we'll do is we'll put half the florets in and then kind of cook them. And then we're going to do a quick puree. And then after that, you do want to save some of them so that you actually have a little bit of texture in your soup towards the end. So, but I'm going to continue to kind of dig down broccoli. I know it's a lot of broccoli. Were there any other questions about cooking or food? And I would say something else I did discover, this kind of talks about a little bit building off of what Sam was saying, you know, giving away things to other people. There was a really great site that I actually found recently in like the Chicago area. It's a Facebook group called Buy Nothing. And I think it's segmented based upon your neighborhood. And literally you can just post things on there and just say, hey, I have extra whatever, or even things that you're trying to get rid of in your home. Someone else can use it. So before we throw something away, I think that that's like one of the biggest things that, you know, we suggest is just to be mindful of, is this something that could have another life for somebody else? Could it be made into something else? And can it be cooked into something else? So yes, we're talking about food primarily today, but there are things like, you know, on the grocery side of things, like if you buy something and you don't like it, I've actually found really great pleasure in being a part of this community site because there are things that people just don't want or they're not going to use before it goes bad. And they're sharing it with the community. There was like one day I literally got like a bag of kale and asparagus. I'm like, okay, like you're giving this away because Instacart gave you too much. I mean, like who doesn't want extra veggies, right? I'll take it.
Yeah, and I also take things back. I honestly, Aldi takes back everything. I bought bread and it said it expired before the expiration date. It was like a day after I got it. It was so moldy and they took it back no problem. So I think don't be afraid too. Like I've taken back milk before. I mean, just don't be afraid. I know this isn't grocery, but like Bath and Body Works. They will take back any lotion, any candle, doesn't matter how much you've used. You could take a candle and they're almost gone. You could have broken it in the store and be like, oh, sorry, this candle's broken. And they're gonna give you money back. Like there's so many places like that. Like, oh, I get so excited. It's amazing. And also price match, you guys. Like if you're like, hey, Walmart has this for really cheap and I'm at Target and like I can get all these other good deals at Target and I don't want to go to Walmart. Pretty much everybody price matches. They're not going to advertise it because they don't want to price match, but they pretty much will always price match. Like, and Walmart does for sure. Target does for sure. There's very few places that do. So, I mean, I'm not a super gutsy person. I wish I was more, but like, if you're one of those people that you're like, I'll take anything back, I'll ask for anything, like you are going to do well at couponing because you're going to get a lot of stuff for very cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted to interrupt really quick. This is such good content. I feel like we could talk all day. It's been 60 minutes. So if you do need to head out, thank you so much for joining. If you want to stay and finish cooking with Sophia, we'll stay on a little bit longer. And if you have, obviously Sam and Sophia would love to answer any questions as well. But if you have to go, thank you so much for being here today. And we will follow up with contacts for Sophia and Sam to get more information. And then again, if you want to stay on a little bit longer to cook, that works as well too.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'm almost done cutting all the broccoli. I know it's a lot of broccoli florets to cut. The florets cook a lot faster than the stalks, which is why we put the stalks in first. And we also, when you overcook broccoli, it starts to get really stinky, in my opinion. And also turns really dark brown. So it's also not as pretty. So I like to keep it a little prettier, which is why we would put this in a little bit later. Okay. So broccoli's done, as we see. I'm gonna open this up. I think these are pretty tender, and I can test. I think the broccoli stalks are the biggest one that we have to test and make sure. Okay. Salt, that we talked about, all at the different levels of cooking. I'm gonna go ahead and add probably about half of my broccoli florets. So once you can kind of stick your fork in, or you can sense the tenderness of the stalks and the potatoes, you can go ahead and put in the other half of the broccoli. And I would save some of the broccoli florets, about half of them, for towards the end. So I have about this much broccoli left. That makes sense. Okay. You'll see these are getting nice and bright green. And if some of the liquid has, too much of the liquid has cooked off, you can actually add more too. I know that the recipe says you can actually do water as well. Water is sometimes just a good option if you don't have any more stock, but I actually might add a little bit more liquid just because I'm worried about it not being, might have evaporated a little bit too much. Okay.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, totally. I know. So for those of you who are cooking, I am using an immersion blender. Immersion blender is this little guy right here. I will literally tell you guys, this thing has changed my life when it comes to making soups and all kinds of things, shakes. You don't need like a ninja superpower or whatever blender. It literally, you can just stick it in here and it'll puree everything. So I think it's actually one of the best inventions I've ever had. There's also another attachment where this little guy comes off. I can put a little mini chopper to this and actually chop up all my onions and all kinds of things, garlic, if we need. So these florets are actually looking pretty good. They cook really fast. So the stems of broccoli they are edible, so that you guys know, and a lot of people like to throw them away. I actually oftentimes will save the stems and actually just chop them up and then put them into a broccoli saute, like when I stir fry it. The stems I do recommend putting in first or cutting them smaller than the florets, because that is something that is still very edible. I think the stems are actually sweeter than the florets and they're less stinky. Let's see, did someone else? Yeah, you could do the Vitamix, absolutely. The Vitamix is definitely super fast and super easy as well.
I'm just gonna let you know, everybody who's on here, that I just got a notification that Valentine's Day clearance is up to 90% off at Walgreens. So if you're interested, I'm definitely gonna go get the candy. So it's like my favorite. I love getting all the holiday candy after it goes on sale. I have a couple other things I'll share while Sophia is doing that. One of the things I always say is sign up for a rewards program for all your favorite places. Like any place you love to go, sign up for the rewards program. And I was thinking, like, I think I was telling Sophia yesterday that Bath and Body Works, like I signed up for their mailer because they'll send you always get, there's a 20% off coupon, there's always a free item, and then there's something else. So every time you get that in the mail, they always have that. So if there's a place that you love or you always shop, definitely, like I said, sign up for those mailers or just get on their list so that way you get the stuff. fill out surveys for free food. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but like, we love Panda Express. Every time you go, it says like, fill out the survey and you get a free entree if you buy an entree. So my fiance and I will go to Panda Express, do the survey, get the code, and then one of us gets a free meal next time we go. And McDonald's has it. Everybody, like, look on those surveys. Like, I know the ones are like, win $500. And I'm like, does anyone actually win those? But the food ones, literally McDonald's will be like, you fill out a survey, you get a free sandwich. So fill it out, and then next time you go and you get a free sandwich. So I love doing that stuff. Actually, McDonald's today is for $5, or they're dropping a new chicken sandwich. So they're selling a sweatshirt with the logo on it, a record that they are making for the sandwich, and an actual sandwich for $5. So there's just like, these apps I'm on give you the craziest things. Like, that's why these people I follow, I tried to send it to you guys, the actual, like, my whole Word document. It wouldn't work. So I'll have Kelly help me send it. But find dupes. Like, I put about the Aldi one. There's so many dupes online. And again, TikTok is amazing. People are hilarious, and I love it because they find the craziest stuff. But we did the Aldi dupe with the Chick-fil-A, and it tasted spot on. It was so good. Buy gift cards with deals. Like in Chicago, if you love Let Us Entertain You, like around Christmas, they always do, you spend $100, you get a $25 gift card. So we always do that because, like, we love Let Us Entertain You restaurants, again, supporting local, but you're making $25 just for buying a gift card. And then again, all the discounts, ask for those. And then, yeah, so those are, like, again, some of the other tips. There's so many. And again, I think, like, the biggest thing is this, for people, it's like, you know, figuring out how much you want to be involved, but like literally just Googling stuff, you can find so much. There's so much now, and it's just like awesome. There's just so many silly ways you can save money. I don't think I realized, me and Sophia kept talking about like being intentional, being like really intentional and thoughtful about what you're spending and what you have. And we're in this culture where it's like, we need, but like, people don't need things. Like, we don't need fancy gadgets. We don't need all this stuff. So
definitely.
Yeah, just being mindful. It's shocking how much is out there.
So I'm at a point where I'm going to go ahead and start blending. There was a question about if you don't have an immersion blender, if you can put it into a regular blender. Absolutely. This is just my cheat way. I would just say, make sure you remove this from heat so that you're also not going to burn yourself. Just be very careful as you transfer this mixture into a blender. Do not fill it all the way, fill it about halfway, because also remember that this is going to be steaming heat. So there is going to be extra air in there that you want to be cautious about. So if you do have an immersion blender, you can kind of just stick it literally into the pot. And you're going to see this all like literally, ooh, I just sprayed myself. I mean, this little stick is like the most amazing thing in the world. I love it. You can see it's all kind of coming together, but it literally just pulverizes everything.
Sophia, Ashley commented, she said, speaking of which, I only started going to the store when I have a recipe in mind, etc. Currently clearing out my pantry and freezer and eating what I currently have.
Yep, that's perfect. And that's really, I mean, that's really the way to do it. I think that's, you know, a lot of people will just go to the grocery store and they'll just buy, like, every week I buy chicken, every week I buy carrots, every week I buy, you know, whatever it is. And they get stuck in a rut. But the reality is that you can shop those circulars and then kind of create a plan, basically, with all the items that are on sale. You really can eat extremely richly. Last week, believe it or not, both Jewel and Fresh Thyme had, Jewel and Mariano's had lobster tails on sale. So they were $4.99 or $4.88 each. That's actually a pretty darn good deal. I had saved the shells from my previous lobster, made a lobster stock. So I went ahead and got those lobster tails, and I'm planning to make lobster bisque this week with it. And so, I mean, you can still eat really well, even though it's on sale, but it's just really just being mindful and knowing that you can create things on your own too.
Yeah, and I think going off of that, like my fiance and I, we waited to buy a filet mignon until after Valentine's Day because it was so cheap. It was on sale because, again, they buy a ton thinking people are going to do all these fancy dinners and cook. So we waited till after that. And then we saved so much money. We're like, oh my gosh, like we waited literally a day to buy this meat and just celebrated it a day later. And it was great. We saved a lot of money. So I think too, like around any holidays and stuff, there's always going to be deals, Black Friday, like, you know, if you save your stuff to, like, even big items. So for instance, like I have a coupon binder. I'm a huge nerd, but I have a coupon binder where I keep all my coupons in just because I like to see them. And we were buying a new pantry for our house. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I have a coupon for Wayfair because you really get coupons there. You'll get sales, but not coupons or anything. And I had 10% off. So we saved $109. So I was like, oh, Good, I remembered I had that. So just like little things, you know, it's like $100 is a lot of money. It's like you think about how much, you know, time versus money. And I think that's with using coupons too, is what's worth your time. Some people, you know, it's not worth their time, but if it is, it's like amazing. Sophia,
Yes.
you should tell them about the reusing the Christmas cookies, because I found that fascinating.
Oh yes, okay. So, so for Valentine's Day, I decided I was going to make lemon bars because I had actually gotten a bunch of lemons, and so if you're done blending your soup, I'm just going to kind of show you guys. I am going to turn this back on, so you can see this is super nice and smooth now. It's really beautiful, and at this point, I'm going to. Whoop, it's bubbling. Hold on, it's spitting at me. And turn this down a little bit so it doesn't spit. At this point, what I'm going to do actually is add back in. Oh goodness, it is really splattering at me. I am so sorry. Give me 1 second. It's like gotten really, really hot. I'm going to add in the. This is actually, I haven't even added the cream. So for those who don't want the dairy, you know, you can tell it's actually still pretty creamy. Adding in the broccoli florets, the bigger chunks, so that you at least have some texture in this, and then let that cook until they get kind of bright green. And then literally the cream is just something that you would stir in at the end along with the cheese. Okay, so what I did was I had a bunch of leftover Christmas cookies because, you know, Christmas time, people give you so many cookies and you're like, oh my God, like I cannot eat all these cookies. I threw them in the freezer and I decided I was gonna make lemon bars. So instead of making the shortbread crust from scratch, I actually took out those old cookies, pulverized them with some graham cracker crumbs, old graham crackers that were just like, you know, not going to do anything for me in a good s'more. Pulverize them in the food processor until they became crumbs. Added a little butter and sugar and actually created that as the crust for my lemon bars. And people are like, these are amazing. And I'm like, yeah, your old Christmas cookies made that. So there's like so many things that we can do with old, you know, stale things, even like stale tortilla chips. Something that you can actually do is literally stick them in the toaster oven. Toast them up and they'll actually crisp right back up. So kind of a nice little trick there. And it's not going to take very long for these florets to kind of get bright green and kind of cooked through. You'll just add a little bit of texture literally into your food. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my cream into the soup if you wanted cream. Otherwise, you could always skip the cream. And then literally, you can just kind of get this all warmed up and it's pretty much good to go. I'm gonna just kind of make sure that everything gets really nicely incorporated. And as you can see, we made a ton of soup. So it's kind of awesome. We like leftovers though in our household. That's the other thing is that I know a lot of people don't like leftovers, but if you can learn how to freeze things, you can actually do really, really well with making big batches. So I have all my toppings here as well. I had the grated cheddar cheese, my scallions, and then some croutons. So I actually had some old bread. And all I did was take my old bread and toss it with a little olive oil, salt, pepper, and then some Italian seasoning, and then just toasted it in the oven on like 450 for like 10 minutes, and they became croutons. So these are basically all the things that I'm going to utilize. I'm going to add a little bit of cheese right now into the soup and just kind of get that nicely incorporated, and then I can use the rest of it for garnish, essentially. So just depending on how much cheese you want to include into this. So I added the cheese. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. And it's a funny story as well. This cheese is actually left over. I had a small, very, very, very small Valentine's Day gathering, and I made a charcuterie board, and there was a ton of cheese left over. I actually just used that cheese, and I just grated it up, and I'm going to use it in this. So there's just like lots of different ways to utilize the leftover ingredients you have, and a charcuterie board will never go to waste. Okay.
Eileen said she was making it tonight for sure.
What did she say?
She's making it tonight for sure.
Oh, good. Fantastic.
It looks so good. I have to do this as well. Oh my gosh, it looks so delicious. It like reminds me of Panera bread, like Panera bread broccoli cheese soup. Yum.
Oh my God, it's so good, so good. All right, so that's pretty much it, you guys. It's so easy. I'm gonna go ahead and dish this up. So as you guys can see, it's nice and creamy. Like, and again, you don't even have to have the dairy. This is a really great dairy-less option, dairy-less, meatless option, really. I use chicken stock because I think it brings a little bit more flavor to this. Absolutely, vegetable stock, even water will work. So I've got my bowl here, and then I'm just gonna do a quick garnish on everything. So I'll add a little bit of cheese on top, a little bit of your cut scallions, and then you can add a couple little croutons.
Sophia, Ashley is asking if you can make it without the puree tool.
I would recommend it if you do it with like a blender or something like that, at least, just so that you have a way to make it creamier. It can certainly be chunky. It's just a different texture. But if you're looking for that sort of like true, like you said, Panera bread, kind of smooth and creamy type of feel to everything, that is either putting it into like a Vitamix or a Ninja or something like that, Ninja blender. That's what I would recommend. So. But the immersion blender is an extremely inexpensive tool. I will literally tell you, you don't need a food processor after you have this. It's amazing. It's got like the little mixer attachment to it. It's got a whisk attachment. I was like blown away, and it's like literally $30. And then if you get it at Bed Bath and Beyond, you can use a 20% off coupon.
You can use multiple, actually. You can take in every coupon you have there, and they will take them until they can't anymore.
Exactly. Expired coupons are accepted at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yes.
And you can stack them.
When we moved into our new place, that's literally what I did. I went there. I keep like a Lululemon bag of every time I get the coupons, I just put them in. So I have like a stack. And I went in and I was just like, I just kept handing them, and she used as many as she could. So I don't even know how much money I saved. It was hundreds though. So very exciting.
That's awesome.
Sophia, how did I do?
Ooh,
it looks so pretty.
it looks good.
It's amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, this is a super easy recipe. And like I said, you're going to get at least 6 servings out of this, depending on, like my husband's a food monster. He's going to probably have 3 bowls with all the croutons, and a grilled cheese sandwich. That's just the way he eats. So, but I'm probably just going to have 1 bowl and I'll be good. So it just depends on like how much your family eats, but it's another just really super great option. Super hearty, great for these cold Chicago days. It's definitely soup season. So anyways.
Okay, another question. Carolyn asked, when do I add the half and half? After blending?
Yes, after blending. So you don't need to cook the half and half or any cream for very long. So after you've blended and actually put your broccoli florets back in, that's when you add the half and half. And I did realize, I think I left that off the recipe. So I'll send an updated document for that as well with the follow-up. Yes, much healthier version. This is also another really great option if people have kids and they have a hard time with like getting them to eat vegetables. They will eat this, I promise you. They're like, oh yeah, like a cheddar broccoli soup. It's so easy, and then you add like a grilled cheese sandwich on the side. They'll totally eat this right up. But it's a great way to get some of those nutrients in, and definitely not a difficult recipe at all.
Well, this was so lovely. I'm going to be conscious of everyone's time. We went a little bit over, obviously, but I was so glad we were able to get the full cooking session in and talk to you both more. So this was so awesome. And we still had a lot of people that still stayed on. So again, we'll post your information so we can follow you both more. And yeah, thank you both so much. This was so fun and so great. And
thanks, everybody.
Definitely. And please post on Instagram so that we can see your soups when you make them. If it's not, today during this time, like tomorrow, this weekend, whenever you make it, definitely post it. The sale on the broccoli and all those items are going to go through next Tuesday. So you have like almost a week to get all the ingredients and make it still. So yeah. Perfect. Well, good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.